Hello, this is Chek. Welcome to my video blog. Today the topic is expanding self-awareness. I often meditate on what it feels intuitively like I should share with people. And today, as I was working out in the gym and opening myself to spirit on these topics, I thought, I got the impulse to share the importance of expanding our self-awareness. As I'm sure most of you know, I work with a lot of people, teach all over the world, have thousands of students around the world, and have worked with patients and clients for my whole 32-year career. And I could safely say that most of the people that come to me with some kind of health challenge, a crisis in their life, or performance challenges, such as athletes that have hit a plateau or can't seem to recover from an injury or just aren't able to accomplish what they want to accomplish, that most of them are what I would call overly trapped in themselves. And this leads to a sense of isolation. It leads to a sense of loneliness. And that sense of isolation and loneliness often leaves us feeling disconnected from the rest of ourself. And the rest of ourself is what we will get into here in a moment. But there's some techniques that I use on a daily basis, actually, to help me stay connected with the greater sense of the reality of who I am, and who I am turns out to be who we all are. So, for example, if you think of who you are, well, most people think that who they are, associate who they are with their body. But they actually often don't realize that when you look into, well, what is my body made of, it comes out to be some interesting things. Well, your body's made of the earth element. The earth element represents structure. For example, your bones are hard and earthy. Your intestinal tract, especially your large intestine, has about 4 pounds of bacteria, which behaves in very, very much the same way as healthy topsoil or compost, and provides a lot of very, very potent benefits without which we couldn't be healthy. Our bodies are between 55 and 70% water, depending on how old you are and how well hydrated you are. But if you ask yourself, well, is that water always the same? The answer is no. You're constantly needing to bring liquids in and bring water in. And if you ask, well, where does that water come from? Well, you find out that it's impossible to track. It literally comes from all over the world, because water here moves to the other side of the world, and water on the other side of the world, be it in the oceans or the rains, moves to this side of the world. And if you look at where water comes from, then you get into cosmology, and you find out theories like the water on this earth came from asteroids and comets and things that have come from any number of regions throughout the solar system or the galaxy or the universe. We're also air. We have to breathe to stay alive. If we're not breathing, we have a very short shelf life. And once again, here we are, we're potentially caught in this self-container without realizing that every breath is a breath that could have come from anywhere in the world, and you may even be breathing molecules that were breathed by any number of the great wise ones, be it Buddha, Jesus, Lao Tzu, you name it. So we are the earth, we are the water, we are air, and we are fire. We are warmth. We could not be here without the sun. And the sun shows up in our body as metabolism, and everything that we eat is in some way dependent upon photosynthesis. Most animals eat other animals, but everything that eats an animal is also dependent upon the things that eat plants. We eat plants, we eat animals. We eat cows, they eat grass. We eat deer, they eat grass. We eat all sorts of things that eat plants to survive. So when you look at it, you can see that the fire, the warmth, produces photosynthesis, produces food and life, be it trees, plants, fruit, vegetables, which feeds the animals and us, and that's constantly moving through us. And current research shows that we replace every single cell in our body every year. It used to be thought it took 7 years, but newer research suggests that we are turning over every cell, about 100 trillion cells, depending on whose book you read, every year. So we're really more like a water fountain. Some of you have probably been to a park and you see a large water fountain, and off in the distance it looks like it's standing still, like a ice tree. But as you move closer, you realize that the water is moving and flowing. So imagine if that fountain began to feel trapped in itself and feeling as though it would never change, without realizing that it's forever changing, and that even the water coming into the fountain is being refreshed and renewed. So I'm going to share a very simple practice that I use. It's very commonly used in a variety of native cultures to begin prayers, and that is connecting to the 4 directions: above to the heaven realm, below to the earth realm, and then the 7th dimension is in the heart, where the Sufis say our rational soul lives, but for most of us we have this sense of heart connection with soul, because the heart is what integrates the higher faculties of thinking, creativity, intuition with the lower faculties of the survival instincts of the animal, meeting our safety and security needs, feeding ourselves, sustenance, and sex and procreation. So what we'd like to do now is I'd like to take you through how to use this technique as a very simple means of expanding your self-awareness. One of the things that it's important to do is, whenever you can, look at your iPhone. Most iPhones have a compass on it, and just get a sense of where north is. You'll find with practice, those of you that do regular Tai Chi, Qigong, or earth-based practices like that, meditation can help with this, but it's not as powerful as Tai Chi and Qigong, because most people do Tai Chi and Qigong with their feet touching the earth, often with bare feet, whereas you can be meditating in a building very disconnected from the earth. When we do those types of practices with any regularity, we become very sensitive, and if we are paying attention to what direction we're facing, we start to realize that there are directional energies. A very simple exercise I give my students, for example, is just to go outside and stand relaxed and pay attention to how their body feels, and then slowly start turning and notice if anything changes inside you energetically. And at some point you'll get to a place where all of a sudden it feels like all your energies align. And we'll just check these other directions here. And so I feel a very strong sense of harmony and alignment. So as I turn, I continue, and I feel that I'm losing that alignment. When I'm facing, there's a house on the hill with a big tree. When I'm facing that tree, all my energy centers feel very aligned. Now, if I take my shoes off, I will feel that energy more strongly, because it connects me into the earth. And that enhances the flow of my energy down into the earth. So the energy's circulating through us. Top's positive, bottom's negative. So without a long explanation, by grounding yourself, energy flows through you. And when energy's flowing through you, it makes you more sensitive, because you're more alive, you're more vital. So again, as I turn, I feel as though my chakras are being pulled slightly out of alignment. My 3rd chakra is moving to the right energetically. So now what I'd like you to do is work with me as we do these 4 directions. We'll do the 4 directions: above, below, and in the heart. And I'm going to talk you through how I work with myself each day to expand my self-awareness outside of my body. And by doing that, you actually become able to experience yourself as the world, as everything, literally, as everything, as the sun, as the moon, as the stars. And that has a deeper carryover effect, because then you realize you're never alone. If a person's too self-encapsulated, life can feel very heavy, very hard, and potentially very, very lonely. So north, this tree, I don't know if you can see this tree, but this tree here is north. If you see that tree right down there, it's pretty much north. In other words, from here, Los Angeles is that way. So what I'm going to do is start facing north, and I just open my heart and my field. I open myself up just the way you would open yourself up if you were about to get a hug from somebody that really loves you and you want to connect deeply to them. So I open myself up and I say, thank you, spirits of the north. Or you can say, thank you, energies of the north, for this beautiful day. And then I allow myself to relax, feel the energies of the north, and I move my consciousness forward and use my imagination, and I visualize myself extending out over the hills, through the mountains, and I just keep traveling, literally at the speed of thought, and pretend I'm a bird looking down. And I get far enough north that I see Washington State, then I see British Columbia, and I keep going further, and I start seeing mountains with snow everywhere. And yet at the same time, I feel myself standing here. And I not only see those things through imagination, but I feel them inside of myself, as though I was actually a bird flying and having that experience. The spirits of the north, or the energies of the north, are very yin, cold. Remember, cold is something that draws energy in, and it's yin. Yin expands from the middle. So if you freeze an ice cube, it gets bigger. So when I'm facing north, I'm aware that I'm drawing in the cooling, expansive yin or feminine energies. Then I turn around to the south. And then facing south, I say, thank you, spirits of the south, for your love and support, or for this beautiful day. And then I project myself, and I use my third eye. I visualize myself flying. Now, you might visualize yourself as a bird. I just visualize myself as expanded consciousness, not necessarily a thing. I can be a bird too. That's called shape-shifting. And I move over the south, and it's not long as I'm moving south before I pass the city of San Diego, and I see ocean, and I keep going through Mexico, and I keep going all the way, and I feel that it's warmer and hotter, and then I just keep on going right around till I feel that I've reached the end of the south energies. The south is hot, masculine, expansive. So yin multiplies energy, so the energies of the north multiply energy. Dr. Quiet, she is yin, know how she loves to bring energy in. So think of what happens when you take an ice cold, the coldest shower you can get. You come out of there, you might be shaken, but you have a lot of energy. But if you are in a sauna, you get out of the sauna and you can feel quite dreamy and limp, like a plant that's got too much sun and not enough water. You expand. So when you're working out, you're expanding, you're dividing your power. The energies of the south divide power. But the sun creates brightness and warmth and nourishes us by dividing its power. So I move myself into that perspective of the south, into that masculine energy, and I see what the masculine energy does. I see the changes in the terrain, even if I'm imagining them. I see the changes in the warmth. I see the changes in the clothing people wear. I see the changes in the styles of art from the Caribbean versus the Haida Indians in British Columbia, for example. And you can connect to these elements of yourself, your larger self. Then I face the East, and I thank the spirits of the East. I move myself into the East. I visualize myself moving across the terrain, going literally around the globe. I see myself passing New York. I just keep right on going, actually all the way till I begin to see people that live in the Far East. And I'm aware that the East is the home of bringing consciousness into our center. It is the home of Eastern religions and philosophies. It's the home of yoga. It's the home of Tantra. It's the home of Ayurveda. It's the home of beautiful, beautiful art and temples. But the East is well known for its depth of worship. And it's also versatile in that the East has a wide variety of belief systems that seem to get along with each other a little better than the Western systems do. But the key point is the Eastern energies are the energies of spiritual centering. So I feel myself, and it's almost as though the sun's light is inverted and coming toward the center, which is very yin in the sense that it's going toward the center. So I allow myself to see and imagine and become one with the mountains, become one with the oceans, become one with the people, become one with the colors in the art, and experience yourself in active imagination or meditation, and know that you are that. Remember, the earth, the water, and the air that you're bringing in could have easily come from any one of these directions. Then we go to the West, and we do the same process. We move out through the West. We thank the spirits of the West. And what do we have in the West? Well, we have the Pacific Ocean, but what do we all know about the West? It's the home of Hollywood. The West is all about projection. It's all about image. It's all about fantasy. It's all about story. It's all about making anything you can imagine come to life. So where the East is all about going into your center, the West is all about coming out and expressing yourself, singing, dancing, acting, becoming. People move to Los Angeles regularly to get into their acting, their dancing, their singing, whatever it might be. But it's an area of creative expression. It's very out there. Where the East is all about coming in to know yourself, the West is all about wearing masks and pretending to be whoever you want to be. And that's important too, because you can get too trapped in yourself. You can start taking yourself too seriously. You can think, oh, all I am is a school teacher or a bus driver or a mechanic. But if you bring the energies of the West in, instead of watching television, you can have fun acting your own skits out, or playing your own music, or doing things that are more naturally expressive, and knowing that you can be that too, as opposed to just getting stuck in a narrow framework of self-reference, which is, potentially not healthy. So we've talked about the North, the South, the East, and the West. Now we want to connect to the spirits above. So up above us is sometimes referred to as the heaven realm, but it's also we're more oriented toward the above as the realm of mind, because our brain sits on top of our body, so we feel our thinking process in our head. And the realm of the archetypes would be even beyond the concept of heaven, and the archetypes are the original patterns for which we all act out, whether it be the archetype of the father, the mother, the warrior, the queen, the king, the victim, the athlete, the actress. The list is long. Whatever your dream is has an archetype associated with it. So I thank the spirits above, spirits in the realm we call heaven for their love, their life support. And I extend my consciousness up. And I allow myself to rise up. And I don't necessarily have to create something to see, but I often just let myself rise up and feel whatever it is and see whatever it is that rises up into me. So I let myself rise and rise and rise. And what happens is I go to the point where I'm outside of the Earth's atmosphere. And then I'm even able to see the sun and the planets in our solar system moving around the sun. And I keep going and going and going. And if you allow yourself to let go, you come to something magical. You come to something beyond even the ideas and the physical things. You come to pure awareness. And then I go down into the earth, and I thank the spirits below. I thank Mother Earth. I thank Mother Earth for all the embodiment, for the opportunity to live, to give us this place to live, to learn what love is. I connect myself to the soil. I go deeper into the middle realms, and then I go all the way to the core of the earth, which is a giant iron crystal. And I look and I see beings in there. I see life in there. I see metallic veins. I see water flows. I see massive crystals and caves and caverns. And remember, it doesn't matter whether you're imagining or not. As Einstein said, imagination is more important than thinking. For a lot of people, that's a hard thing to grasp. But I simply ask you this. Meditate on what your life would be like if you had no imagination. Wouldn't you be a bit like a machine at that point? So, connecting down into the earth, I begin to be aware that I am the earth as well. So now I know I am the north, the south, the east, the west, the above, and the below. And we finish by going into our heart. And I connect into my heart and I say, thank you, dear soul. Thank you, dear spirit guides. Thank you, dear spirit helpers. Thank you for all the love in my life. Thank you for the opportunity to give and receive love. And thank you for all the love that reaches me without me knowing where it came from. And I bring my consciousness in. And for those of you that are capable of imagining or have clairvoyance, I allow myself to see all the energy lines connecting me to all the people and all the beings around the world. And it looks like a sun shining, except the rays often go out and bend, and I can follow them, for example, right to my mother's house in Ashland, as an example. So there's a very simple exercise. Now I'll close with another one you can do. You can see that rock over there. That's one of my favorite places when I just want to take a few minutes off from work and just come outside and be in the sun, to lay on that beautiful smooth rock. You can practice moving in your spirit body. And a simple thing you do is just, if you have a bed or a bench or a table, or you're in your house and you got your backyard, it works better if you start by using locations and objects and things that you have a strong sense of awareness of. So now I would just ask you right now on the video to just step through the screen and stand here with me. Just see yourself stepping through the screen, and then visualize yourself walking over with me. And there I now sit on that rock. I feel the texture of the rock. I feel the warmth of the sun and the wind on my face. And then I lay on the rock, and I feel the rock underneath me. By going through this process, you're actually setting up neural circuits in your brain that organize the flow of energy and information in the same way that you see athletes mentally going through their runs. Like, many of the athletes you see doing that before swimming matches, tennis, track and field, going through their movements. You see boxers shadow boxing and visualizing their opponent And research shows that when we do that, we actually open up neural networks that actually facilitate the exact pathways that we will use. And so not only do we gain this greater sense of connection, but we actually create greater networks for connecting, so that when we go to express that, we already have, shall we say, the hardware in place for the conscious experience to be acted out and to manifest. So this is very true of dream work. When you're working with your dream, you can do the same kind of techniques I've just talked about and visualize yourself in that car or in that business or with that partner, etc. So I hope you've enjoyed this exercise. It's very simple. Usually people's only limitation is their own belief system, and your beliefs can either help you be healthy and stay connected, or make you feel disconnected and make you ill and unhappy. And so we must realize that the word make believe has some deep connotations in that regard. If you like this kind of work, I'm sure you'd enjoy getting into my Holistic Lifestyle Coach Level 1 program, which gets you ready for HLC 2, where I take you much deeper into a variety of work-in techniques and ways to grow your consciousness and grow your sense of connection and your capacity to cultivate energy. Chek 4-Quadrant Coaching Mastery takes you deep into archetypes and healing wounds and blockages that may stop you from using your creative potential to its fullest. Look forward to sharing more with you soon. Love to hear from you guys how you do with the exercise. See you soon.